Good afternoon, children. Today we'll continue with the clauses. We were doing chapter 8, clauses, page number 66. So let us first revise what we learned the other day, whatever I taught you. I told you that a clause is a group of words. Like a sentence, it is also a group of words, and it has a subject and it has a finite verb. A clause should have a subject, a finite verb, and it may convey a complete sense or it may not convey complete sense. It may be capable of standing alone as a sentence or it may not be capable of standing alone as a sentence. Okay, so these this is what the definition of clause was, as I had told you the other day. And I told you that there are three types of clauses: principal clause, which is also called the main clause or independent clause. A principal clause has a subject, has a finite verb, it conveys a complete thought, and it is capable of standing alone as a sentence. Then the coordinating clause. So the coordinate clause, you have already done coordinating conjunctions. So I told you that a coordinate clause is an independent clause, two independent clauses which are joined together by a coordinating conjunction. That is a fan voice conjunction. We have already done coordinating conjunctions. So a coordinate clause consists of two independent clauses, two main clauses, two principal clauses, which are joined together using a coordinating conjunction. Then we come to the subordinate clause. Now, subordinate clause is also called the dependent clause. Okay, why is it called the dependent clause? It has a subject, it has a finite verb, but it does not convey a complete sense or a complete meaning and is not capable of standing alone as a sentence. It requires a principal clause to complete its meaning. So I hope it is clear till now. There are three kinds of clauses: principal clause, subordinate clause, and coordinate clause. Then I told you that subordinate clause have three types. Subordinate clause are divided into three types: noun clause and adjective clause. We did that day. Adverb clause we'll be doing today. So noun clause performed the function of a noun. And I showed you how a noun clause can be the subject of a sentence, it can be the object of the verb, it can be the object of a preposition. And I told you that a noun clause is introduced by the conjunctions that, if, whether. It can also be introduced by the WH words, the verb words, okay? And it can also be introduced by the pronouns, wherever, whatever, okay? And a noun clause answers the question what. A noun clause always answers the question what. Then we came to the adverb clause, adjective clause, sorry. I told you that then adjective clause performs the function of is a dependent clause. Both of them are dependent or subordinate clauses. Noun clause is also a subordinate clause. Adjective clause is also a subordinate clause. Now, adjective clause performs the function of an adjective, but it is a group of words. Instead of a single word describing something, a person or a thing, it is a group of words which describes a person or a thing. An adjective clause is also called a relative clause, very, very important. And most of the adjective clauses are introduced by relative pronouns like who or whom, which is used for a person, which is used for a thing, that or whose, which can be used either for a person or for a thing. So adjective clauses are introduced by who or whom, which, that, whose, and are also called relative clauses. So this much I had taught you that day, that adjective clauses describe a person or a thing, but they are a group of words which describe a person or a thing. They perform the same function as is performed by an adjective. Now today we will start with, first I will tell you defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay, so we will first do defining and non-defining relative clauses. Okay, now see, look at this sentence. The girls who were wearing caps stood up. The girls who were wearing caps stood up. So in this sentence, you can see that it means that only those girls who were wearing caps stood up. That means this sentence defines, it is defining the noun. It is defining in the sense, this is also an adjective clause. See, it is beginning with who were wearing caps is the adjective clause here. It is describing the girls. The girls is the antecedent. I told you antecedent means the noun which is being described by the adjective clause. So the girls is the antecedent here. Who were wearing caps is the subordinate clause or the adjective clause here. And if we divide this sentence into the main clause into two different parts, we will get a main clause or a principal clause. The girls stood up. So our main clause or principal clause is the girls stood up, and who were wearing caps is describing the girls, the specific group of girls. That means maybe there were other girls also who but they were not wearing caps. So only the girls who were wearing caps had stood up. Okay, so this kind of clause is called a defining clause because it gives some essential information about the person or thing. Essential is a very important word because here we want to specify that there were other girls, but only the girls who were wearing caps stood up. Okay, there might have been others who didn't stand up. Therefore, it is the complete subject in the sentence. The girls who were wearing caps. It is an essential information. Without it, the sentence would be incomplete. So it is very much part of the complete subject, and as such, it defines it. Okay, therefore, it is called a defining clause. Now let us see another sentence. The girls, comma, who were wearing caps, comma, stood up. Okay, so here the same sentence is there, but we see that we have used commas after the noun and also after the clause we have used commas. So here we are providing additional information about the girls who stood up. Like, it means that all the girls who were present stood up. Look at the main clause here. The girls stood up. That means all the girls stood up, and the commas here mean that all the girls who were present, everyone was wearing a cap. In this, in the previous sentence, it meant that there must be other girls also, but they were not wearing caps. So only the girls who were wearing caps stood up. This is a defining clause, and when you see that there is a separation, there is a pause after the noun, and there can be a may or may not be two pauses. There can be only one pause also in case of non-defining clause. There can be one comma also. But what is the difference? The difference between the two sentences is, if I say the girls stood up, this is the main clause. Who were wearing caps is providing additional information about those girls. Okay, it means that is why it is called non-defining, because it is merely giving us some extra information about all the girls. Okay, all the girls were wearing caps, but this is an extra information. I don't need it. The girls stood up means here all the girls stood up. Okay, so if I tell you my father, who is away at the moment, just called, I can say my father just called. I want to convey that point, that my father just called. But if I am adding who is away at the moment, that means I'm only giving you additional information, extra information about my father, and that is not required to define my father. I only want to say my father just called, because I can have, now if I replace my father with my brother, so I can have more than one brother. So if I have to say that my brother who is away at the moment just called, I will not put commas, because I may have more than one brother. So I'm talking about the particular brother who is away at the moment, who has gone somewhere. I'm not talking about both my brothers, then I will not put a comma because I'm defining my particular brother who is away. Understood? And in case of my father, father can only be one. So my father who is away at the moment just called means that my father just called is the thing which I want to convey, but I'm extra information I'm conveying to you is who is away at the moment. In that case, it is a non-defining clause. It is not required. You are only giving some extra information about the noun. Okay, this portion was there in your book. Again, I will reiterate the difference between a defining clause and a non-defining clause. See, a defining clause gives necessary information that is essential to distinguish which thing or person we are talking about. Like I gave you the example of the brother. A brother can be more than one, and only one brother might be away, but father is one and he just called. Okay, so you need not use comma. Extra information. A non-defining clause gives some extra information about the person or thing you are describing, which is not necessary to distinguish which thing or person we are talking about. So a defining clause will have no commas, and a non-defining clause, commas are present. Another important difference between a defining clause and a non-defining clause is that can be used in only defining clauses. In non-defining clauses, that is not used. Here we can use in defining clauses both that and which can be used. But in non-defining clauses, that is not used. Okay. I had taught you last portion, which I had taught you that day was page number 72, omission of the relative pronoun. You know that all the adjective clauses are introduced by relative pronouns. I just revised with you who, whose, whom, which, that, or whose. So in case of a defining clause, relative pronouns can be omitted. I had given you the example that day. These are the people whom we helped. We can also write that these are the people we helped. So in the case of defining clause, we can remove the or omit the relative pronoun. But in case of non-defining clause, a relative pronoun cannot be omitted, cannot be removed from the sentence. It is essential. You have to have the relative pronoun in case of a non-defining clause. So this is all you have to need to know about defining and non-defining, and we will discuss it further during the question time. Okay, now coming to the adverb clause, the third kind of subordinate clause. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause. You know that it is another type of subordinate clause. We are discussing the subordinate clauses, noun clause, adjective clause we've done, and this is the adverb clause. An adverb clause is a subordinate clause which does the same job as an adverb in a sentence. That is, what is the job of an adverb? It generally modifies a verb or tells us something more about the verb. Adverb clauses are introduced by subordinating conjunctions. This is very important. You have already done conjunctions, so you know what are subordinating conjunctions. So this is how you can identify an adverb clause. I told you adjective clauses are generally introduced by relative pronouns. Noun clauses are generally introduced by the conjunctions that, whether, and if. And the WH words, so adverb clauses are introduced by subordinating conjunctions. So like we have a lot of, we did kinds of adverbs also. We have done the kinds of adverbs. We have done the chapter adverbs, and you know that there are types of adverbs. So there will be types of adverb clauses also. So let us see what are the types of adverb clauses. So like in the case of kinds of adverbs, we have adverb clause of manner, adverb clause of time, adverb clause of place, adverb clause of reason or cause, adverb clause of purpose, adverb clause of unreality, concession and contrast, and adverb clause of condition. These are the ones which are given in your book. We can study these in detail. Since you already have done the chapter adverbs and kinds of adverbs, so you will have an idea of what these are. Now look at this sentence. When the sun set, he returned home. So first of all, let us see what is, how can we divide the sentence. When the sun set is one clause. He returned home is another clause. So he returned home is an independent clause because it has a subject, it has a verb. The subject is he, returned is the finite verb, and then he returned home makes complete sense and it can stand alone as a sentence. Now come to the other part, when the sun set. Now in this case, the sun is the subject, set is the verb. Okay. So now this is also a clause, but it does not convey a complete thought. It does not convey a complete meaning. And it cannot be an independent sentence. So what is it? It is a dependent clause or a subordinate clause. And now this when the sun set, this clause, entire clause is telling us something more about the verb returned. When did he return? He returned when the sun set. Okay. So when the sun set is performing the function of an adverb because it is telling us something more about the verb returned. Therefore, it is acting as an adverb. And since it is a group of words, not a single word, okay, then therefore it is an adverb clause. In adverbs, we have studied adverb clause. And what kind of adverb clause can it be? When he returned home, it can be adverb clause of time. And you will also notice that in this sentence, there is a comma. After the subordinate clause, there is a comma. So we will discuss this also, this comma, this punctuation also. Later on, we will come to this also. So you understood that how this is an adverb clause because it is telling us something more about the verb returned. Okay. And one more thing, when is a subordinating conjunction. So that is why this is an adverb clause also, because it is introduced by a subordinating conjunction when. Now let us see the different kinds of adverb clauses. After the mangoes are harvested, they are sold in the market. So the two clauses are, they are sold in the market, and after the mangoes are harvested. So they are sold in the market, they is the subject, are is the verb, and you can see this is making complete sense. This can stand alone as a sentence. So this is the principal clause or the main clause. Now coming to the subordinate clause or the adverb clause here. After the mangoes are harvested, the mangoes is the subject, again are is the verb here, and this is not making complete sense. After the mangoes are harvested is not making complete sense. It cannot stand alone as a sentence, therefore it is a dependent clause. Now we know that after is a subordinating conjunction. We know that only the coordinating conjunctions are the fan voice conjunction, and rest they are the subordinating conjunctions. So this after is a subordinating conjunction, therefore it is an adverb clause. What kind of adverb clause now? It is an adverb clause of time, because when we ask the question, when are the mangoes sold in the market, they are sold in the market after they are harvested. Okay. So after is a subordinating conjunction, and therefore this is introducing the adverb clause of time after the mangoes are harvested. Now in all the adverb clause of time is generally introduced by subordinating conjunctions: when, whenever, while, after, before, since, till, until, as long as soon as. These are all uh, subordinating conjunctions which refer to time, or which tell us about the time of a action, the time of action. Therefore they are called adverb clause of time. So these are the words which you should remember. It is given in your book also, which are the subordinating conjunctions which define time. Now coming to the next sentence, wherever she goes, the dog follows her. So again, the dog follows her is a principal or independent clause. Wherever she goes is the adverb clause. Now what kind of adverb clause is this? Where does the dog follow her? Wherever she goes. Okay, so this is conveying a place. Where conveys place. So wherever she goes, the dog follows her, and wherever is a subordinating conjunction. She is the subject here and goes is the finite verb. Now other adverb clause of places are where, wherever, whereas. These are also some of the other adverb clause of place. These can begin. Okay, so they can introduce the subordinate adverb clause of place also. Where, wherever, and whereas. The next sentence, Mary ran as if the wind was chasing her. Okay, how did Mary run? Mary ran as if the wind was chasing her. So let us come to this different two clauses here in this sentence. Mary ran. Mary is the subject. Ran is the finite verb. It makes complete sense. It is a independent clause. We all know that this is an independent or principal clause. Now the next part of the sentence, the wind is the subject, was chasing is the finite verb, and then as if is a subordinating conjunction. We have done subordinating conjunction as if also. Now, this sentence, if we ask the question, how did Mary run? And how answers the question manner. If you know the kinds of adverbs, you know that how is a question which is asked for the manner, adverb of manner. You ask the question how. So how did Mary run? As if the wind was chasing her, and the subordinating conjunction in this case is as if. So other subordinating conjunctions which introduce an adverb clause of manner is as if, and as though. Also, you will notice that I have written that this is an adverb clause of unreality because uh, it is mentioned in your book that something which is not possible, unreal. The wind cannot chase a girl. So that is an adverb clause of unreality also, as well as manner also. It is not possible for the wind to chase Mary. So that is unreal. So this is also called adverb clause of manner or adverb clause of unreality. Now coming to the next kind of adverb clause. He scored good marks because he studied hard. Okay. Now he scored good marks is the principal or the independent clause here. And because he studied hard is the subordinate clause, dependent clause, adverb clause. And why is it an adverb clause? First of all, it is being introduced by the subordinating conjunction because therefore it is an adverb clause. It has a subject he, it has a finite verb studied, but it does not make complete sense. It is a subordinate clause, we know, and it is an adverb clause. How do we know that? Because we have it is giving us a reason why. Why did he score good marks? Because he studied hard. So you can ask the question why and you will get a reason. Okay. Now, same sentence, we can write it as because he studied hard, he scored good marks. But in this case, you will notice that I have put a comma. Why? Because if a subordinate clause comes after the main clause, we do not need to put a comma. But if a subordinate clause comes before the main clause, we need to put a comma. We will discuss the punctuations also in the end. Okay. So now you must know that this is the adverb clause of reason. We are asking the question why and we are getting the answer. This is why. And the other conjunctions, subordinating conjunctions, which can introduce the adverb clause of reason are because, since, and as. They have the same meaning. They are all giving reason. These all subordinating conjunctions are used to give reason. Because, since, and as give us the reason. Okay. Now, next sentence. Arohi completed her graduation so that she could get a job. Now, again, we see that the main clause is Arohi completed her graduation. That is the main clause, independent clause. It can stand on its own. So that she could get a job is the subordinate clause here. And it is introduced by the subordinating conjunction so that. Now it is showing the purpose. Why did she complete her graduation? For the purpose that she could get a job. That is why it is called the adverb clause of purpose. It shows you why. For what reason did she do the graduation? So that she could get a job. Purpose means her. What is your objective? Why have you done this action? What was the purpose? What is the objective of the action? So that she could get a job, or in order that she could get a job. So this is adverb clause of purpose. Next, the football match will take place if it does not rain. Okay, now the football match will take place. is one part, independent clause. If it does not rain is another part, which is a subordinate clause. What kind of subordinate clause? Adverb clause again, because it is beginning with the subordinating conjunction if. And we have a subject, we have a finite verb here. So this is a dependent clause, which is an adverb clause because it is beginning with the subordinating conjunction if. You can identify it. And it is an adverb clause of condition because we are laying down a condition that if this action happens, then the match will take place. Okay. For one action to take place, we have to fulfill another condition. So that is called the adverb clause of condition. It expresses a condition for the main clause to happen, the main clause to hold. The main clause will only take place if the conditional clauses fulfilled. Understood? If it does not rain, then only the match will take place. So this lays down a condition. Therefore, it is called the adverb clause of condition. Also, if you see that we can have other subordinating conjunctions which can also introduce the adverb clause of condition. They are if, then, and also provided that. This comma should not be here. If and then in a sentence, or if and provided that. These these subordinating conjunctions lay down a condition. So if I say I'll win provided you help me, provided that you help me, that means a condition is laid down that I will be able to win only if you help me. Or I can say, if you are right, then I must be wrong. That means if and then is used also to lay down a condition. In case if you are right, then I must be wrong. So this is adverb clause of condition. The soldiers fought bravely, although the temperatures were freezing. Now see, the soldiers fought bravely. We got our main clause, independent clause. Then, although the temperatures were freezing is again subordinate clause. Which kind of subordinate clause? Adverb clause. Why? Because although is again a subordinating conjunction. What are the other subordinating conjunctions which can be used to introduce? Now, let me tell you what kind of adverb clause. This is an adverb clause of contrast. Concession or contrast means that the main clause indicates an unexpected result, because the main clause specifies or tells us something which is an absolute contrast or absolute opposite to what the other part of the other clause is telling us. Okay, the main clause indicates that the soldiers fought bravely, and the absolute opposite contrast is expressed in the subordinate clause, which says that it is unexpected. Although the temperatures were freezing, they fought bravely. That means something is absolutely contrast. The temperatures were freezing, then too they were able to fight bravely, which is it expresses an unexpected result which is contrary to what is indicated in the main clause. Okay, so adverb clauses which begin with while, even if, although, and though are called adverb clause of concession or adverb clause of contrast. We can also write this sentence as, although the temperatures were freezing, comma, the soldiers fought bravely. I told you if the subordinate clause is there before the main clause, then there will be a comma. Okay, I can also say, whereas he is a minor, he can't be sent to jail. That means I'm talking about something, two things which are absolutely in contrast. While I support you, I don't agree with you. So while I'm supporting you, I don't agree with you. That means although I don't agree with you, I'm still supporting you. Two things which are absolutely in contrast to each other. There we use the adverb clause of concession or contrast, and these are introduced by though, although, even if, while, I told you. Now we will just recap what we learned about the adverb clauses. We learned that adverb clauses are dependent clauses or subordinate clauses. They contain a subject and a verb, but they do not convey a complete meaning because they are dependent clauses. Then they function as an adverb in the sentence. Okay, they perform the function of an adverb in the sentence. and they are usually introduced by subordinating conjunctions. This is the most important part in an adverb clause, that they are introduced by subordinating conjunctions. This is how you can identify an adverb clause. Okay, now I told you we will do punctuation of adverb clauses. Okay, there is some, you saw in defining and non-defining also we have to place commas, and commas have some importance. In case of defining and non-defining clauses also, you saw that commas were important. So let us do some know some things about the punctuation of adverb clauses. When an adverb clause appears before the main clause, a comma is used to separate the two clauses. I told you just now also when we did the sentences, I told you that an adverb clause appears before the main clause. If it appears before the main clause, a comma has to be used. Like, as soon as he arrives, we will have lunch. So this is the adverb clause. So this adverb clause, when it comes before the main clause, we will have lunch, then, or it is used to separate the two clauses, any two clauses in a sentence, and this adverb clause comes before the main clause, then we put a comma. And if we write this sentence like, we will have lunch as soon as he arrives, we do not need a comma. There is no need for a comma when the adverb clause appears after the main clause. Like, he gave me a call when he arrived in town. So I don't need a comma here because my main clause is he gave me a call. My adverb clause is when he arrived in town, and this is an adverb clause of time. This is also, as soon as, is also an adverb clause of time. It shows, indicates time. When will you have lunch? As soon as. So he gave me a call when he arrived in town. We do not need a comma because this adverb clause is coming after the main clause. And if I have to put a comma, or where is a comma required? When I write, when he arrived in town, he gave me a call. Then I will put a comma, because in that case, my adverb clause will appear before the main clause. Now, in case of whereas and while, I told you whereas and while are subordinating conjunctions which are also used to indicate concession or contrast. Two opposite things. Okay, two opposite things are indicated by whereas and while also. So a comma is used to separate the clauses even when the subordinate clause appears after the main clause. So this is an exception. In case of whereas and while, you will put a comma even if the adverb clause is appearing after the main clause. In case of whereas and while, like Mary is slim while I am overweight. So Mary is slim is our principal clause, independent clause, main clause. While I am overweight is my adverb clause. So in this case, even though my adverb clause is after the main clause, still I have to put a comma here. Whereas in case of whereas and while, I have very little time to do my homework, whereas you have lots of time to do yours. So my main clause is I have very little time to do my homework. Okay, and my adverb clause is whereas you have lots of time to do yours. So whereas shows a contrast. First of all, while and whereas are showing contrasting situations. And in these cases, in case of whereas and while, you have to put a comma even if this adverb clause is after the main clause. Now let us do some sentences and let us see what you have understood. You have to identify the adverb clauses and tell me what kind of adverb clause it is. We have done the kinds of adverb clauses of time, place, manner, reason, purpose, condition, concession, contrast. So you have to tell me what kind of adverb clause this is and the kind. I waited for my friend until he arrived. Only the child ma'am tells to unmute. Either ma'am will tell you who will unmute and answer. I waited for my friend until he arrived. Just a minute. Alankrita can answer this question. Let me just pause this recording a little bit. Yes, the first one. I waited for my friend until he arrived.
Adverb of time.
Yeah, first tell me which is the adverb clause here.
Until he arrived.
Very good. Until he arrived is the adverb clause, and it is adverb clause of time because it is telling us till when did he wait for his friend? Until he arrived. Very good. He hid where no one could find him.
Geshna.
Yes, Geshna.
You are not audible, Geshna.
We can't hear you. Someone else?
Arna. Yes, Arna.
Yes, ma'am. Adverb of place.
What is the adverb clause? First, identify the adverb clause also.
Ma'am, where?
Clause is not a single word, no, Arna. Clause is a group of words.
Ma'am, where no one could find him.
Yes, where no one could find him is the clause, and it is adverb clause of place. Yes.
Ma'am, place.
Yes, place. I am as intelligent as you are.
Anjali.
Anjali?
As you are.
Yes, as you are. Perfect. And what kind of adverb clause?
Comparison.
No. Comparison, yes, we have not done it, but this is comparison, adverb clause of comparison. It is not in your books, but it can be manner and comparison both. It is given as, in your books, it is given as adverb clause of manner, but you are right, it can be adverb clause of comparison. Next one, as he was not there, I left a message with his mother.
Vani.
As he was not there,
Yes, it is
adverb
the
clause of reason.
Yes, adverb clause of
Reason.
reason. Yes, it is giving us a reason. Why did he leave a message for his mother? As he was not there. Good. If you eat too much, you may fall ill.
Satyam. Satyam Maurya. Yes.
You eat too much.
If you eat too much is the adverb clause, correct? What kind of adverb clause?
Condition.
Yes, adverb clause of condition. Very good. Although he started early, he was late.
Tulika. Tulika Yadav.
Ma'am, although he started early, adverb
Yes.
clause of concession.
Yes, concession or contrast, because it is showing two different things, opposite, contrary things. So although he started early is the adverb clause of contrast. Do not go until I get ready.
Siddhesh.
Yes.
Until I get ready.
Yes, until I get ready. And
Adverb of time.
adverb clause of time. Okay, it is an adverb clause. So adverb clause of time. Very good. Mute yourself now. Life is what happens when you are making other plans.
Vaibhavi.
Yes, Vaibhavi.
When you are making other plans,
Very good.
adverb clause of time.
Very good. When is adverb clause of times? When is the subordinating conjunction? It is beginning from the, always see that subordinating conjunctions, adverb clauses will begin or be introduced by a subordinating conjunction. So from there, your adverb clause will start. If he calls, please tell him I am on my way.
Arisha. Arisha.
Ma'am,
Hamid
if
Singh.
he calls,
Yes, if he calls.
this is the adverb clause of condition.
Yes, very good, Arisha. If he calls is the adverb clause of condition. Whenever they arrive, I will be waiting for them.
Pratik.
Ma'am, whenever they arrive, adverb clause of time.
Very good, Pratik. Whenever they arrive, adverb clause of time. It's showing time. When will till when will you be waiting for them? So whenever they arrive. You should keep the milk in the refrigerator so that it doesn't go bad.
Kinjal.
Ma'am, so that it doesn't go bad.
Yes, very good.
Adverb of purpose.
Purpose. Why should we keep the milk in the refrigerator? So that it doesn't go bad. Kinjal, mute yourself. Very good. It looks as if it is going to rain soon.
Samriddhi.
Ma'am, as if it is going to rain soon.
Yes.
Adverb
as if it
clause
is-
of manner.
Yes, adverb clause of manner, because as if, as though I told you, I used subordinating conjunctions used to introduce adverb clauses of manner. Very good, all of you. Well done. I hope all the clauses are clear to you. The chapter is clear to you. Thank you so much.